going to first start off with a story. I was here the first day that this yeshiva opened up in 1969. I was 8 years old. And it was Friday afternoon, Friday after yeshiva, 12 o'clock. And we lived in East Flatbush at the time. And we had a special bus to take us to East Flatbush. Most of the boys went to Crown Heights, but we went to East Flatbush. And, you know, as a boy, you're a little older, most of you, but you run. And I was running towards the bus to make sure that I don't miss my bus. I can get home to East Flatbush. And those front steps that I walked up on now, I don't know if they're the same steps, but probably they're the same, there's those steps. I started to run down the steps towards the bus. And guess what happened? I fell down. But why did I fall down? I fell down because the steps were still not cemented. It was just put on. And I fell down and made a form of my body, my little body, on the steps. That's what happened on the first Friday when this yeshiva opened up in 1969. And you can imagine what happened when I came home. My father saw me all messed up. So when Rabbi Dechter called me to speak to you about the Rashag, Reb Shmayo Garadi, whose Yahrtzeit is today, it was a great pleasure. It's a great pleasure to be here. It's very emotional for me to be here. I spent here from 1969 to 1978. It's a long time, 9 years. And I remember all the Rebbes, the kitchen, Rabbi Tenenbaum's office, the dormitory, which doesn't exist anymore, I understand, on the 4th floor. I could write a book just about this building, and maybe I will one day. And who was the one who made it possible for this yeshiva to be here? Understandably, the Rebbe. But who was the one who was in charge of all the Lubavitch yeshivas under the Rebbe? His older brother-in-law, Rabbi Shmayo Garadi. We call him the Rashag. Reish Shin Gimel. Rashag. This Rashag was born in Ukraine, in Kremenchuk, Ukraine, in 1897. And he passed away in 1989. And I have a story with him too. Because generally, we didn't see the Rashag. The office, when you come in to the left, where I think I saw offices over there, that was his office. And no one ever went into his office. It was like a holy place. Once in a while, we would see him come out and go into the yeshiva's office where the other staff people were. And once he was going in, and he saw me, and he used to call every student Bachur. That's what it'd say, Bachur. Whether you were 10 years old, 8 years old, 12 years old, you were Bachur. So he says to me, Bachur, was ist dein Namen? That's Yiddish for what's your name? So I said, Dalfin. So he says, Dalfin, come inside. He calls me into his office. The first time I ever was in his office, and I remember what he said to me. And he said to me, sollst du sein kein Dal, soll sein an Euscher. Dal means poor. Dalfin, right? Dal. Don't be poor, be wealthy, be rich. And then he said, you can go now. As Rabbi Dechter said, Rabbi Garadi, the Rashag, the Rebbetzin said to one of the eunuchs who told me, I think the Shlomi eunuch, who told me, my man's grester chosid is Harav Gurari. My husband's biggest chosid, the Rebbe's biggest chosid, is Rabbi Gurari. And it doesn't only mean what Rabbi Dechter alluded to, but in this book that I wrote about the Rashag and the Rebbe and their relationship called Rashag and Rebbe, I documented and brought many letters and information how he was committed all the years. And I'll tell you another story. Short stories, but they bring the point. I worked for this yeshiva too when I came back. Actually, the yeshiva brought me back from California to be the alumni director. And guess what? I ended up sitting in Rabbi Garari's chair. Not everyone was happy about that, but that was the office. And I saw his gigantic, I don't remember Rabbi Dechter, his big Rolodex, this big. People from all over the world. People he was in contact with. And when I came back, I was working to bring money, funds into the yeshiva as the alumni director. So I met someone who gave a sizable donation to the yeshiva. And I asked him, what connection do you have to the yeshiva? What connection do you have to Rabbi Garari? And he says, I really don't. So I said, why are you giving this large donation? I'm just curious. He said, I'll tell you why. This was an American in Brooklyn, not from. And he said to me, I get letters from people, from organizations and yeshivas all over Brooklyn. Everyone needs money. And I understand. And everyone gets a little money. I send everyone a little money. But there's a difference between the letters I get from Rabbi Garari and the other administrators in yeshivas. The others say, we don't have money, we're closing the yeshiva, and we need your money. And then he said, and Rabbi Garari writes, we don't have enough money, but we're going further. We're not closing anything. And he said to me, that's why I give him money. Because there's no such a thing as not accepting a boy in yeshiva because there isn't enough money. That's what he told me. And where did Rabbi Garari get this? From the Rabbeim, from the Rebbe Rashag, who started Toim Chetmimim, and his son, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and our Rebbe. That Toim Chetmimim is the most special place you can be in, the Lubavitcher Yeshiva. Toim Chetmimim is eternal, everlasting. It never will stop. Not till Mashiach, but even when Mashiach will come very soon, Yitzhak Hashem, Toim Chetmimim is going to be there. You've heard, I'm sure, from your Rebbes, Toim Chetmimim makes neiros lahoyer, lamplighters. What's a lamplighter? A lamplighter is someone who doesn't only think about himself, but he thinks about other people. And I have a story for that too. So when I was in Beis Medrash next door, Rabbi Dechter took me in. That was my Beis Medrash, our Beis Medrash. It was a little bigger at the time. And this was when I was in Beis Medrash. I was 17 or so, yeah. And I enjoyed learning, and I wanted to learn, and we have chavrusas. When you get older, you learn in partners, chavrusas, right? One with one, and you prepare the Gemara. So I said to Rabbi Tenenbaum, Olav Sholem, who was our principal, I said to him, I really want to have a chavrusa who is top-notch. So between he and I, we can really go high, score big, really go over the top. We will learn and we will really. And Rabbi Tenenbaum said to me, no, I want you to learn with a student, with a chavrusa, with a partner who doesn't know as well. And he gave me a partner from Italy who wasn't yet sharp in Gemara. And he suggested I learn with him, but I said, Rabbi Tenenbaum, that means I'll be his teacher. I thought it's a chavrusa, partnership, two equals. He says, you do this and you'll become stronger and better in your learning. And he was right. A lamplighter doesn't only light up his own candle. A lamplighter makes sure that it lights up the whole street, the whole community, the whole area. How do you do that? Through learning. You learn, and then you daven. You're in a shul. Do you know that I had a special siddur I took from home? I remember it was a red cover. They don't publish it today. A Lubavitch Chabad siddur. And I remember I used to sit over there, I think. And I translated words because I didn't know the meaning of davening. I was saying, Asher Yeshiv V'secha Yaluchosela Asher B'shkochol Yashem. I don't know what I'm saying. Every day I davened. So as I became bar mitzvah a year later, I don't remember exactly the year, or maybe 15, I said, wait. I don't know the meaning of davening. So I took a pencil. My first language was Yiddish, and I translated the words into Yiddish. This was before we had an English translation of the Siddur. And I learned the meaning of davening in this shul that we are sitting in right now. And this all is b'schus, the merit of Rabbi Gerari. Rabbi Gerari, in the 1940s, when he came together with his father-in-law, the Frierdiker Rebbe, he managed 14 yeshivas. Most of them were called Achei Tmimim, not Tomchei Tmimim. In Rochester, in Buffalo, in Boston, in Chicago, etc. 14. The Lubavitch yeshivas was known. But where was the main yeshiva? It was first in Bedford, Stuyvesant, where I learned as well, called Bedford and Dean. And then in 1969, there was a fire, and this building was built. In other words, they were building the building anyway, and we moved in here. Now let me tell you something. Who likes football here? I can't believe only so few hands. Okay. I like football. So we used to go out in this yard right here. I think the yard's still there. And we had the best touch, not tackle, touch football out here. I remember like now. And one of my good friends, he lives in Florida today, I used to be the quarterback and he was the wide receiver. And I remember we used to call it throwing a bomb. Throwing a bomb means going boom, all the way up. And he was so athletic, he was able to jump up. And he caught the ball, but his head hit, there's a piece sticking out there. We go down to the kitchen or downstairs. I don't know, again, if it's still there. And his head hit, and he had a concussion. I remember that. But that's how we were boys. We both enjoyed sports, and I remember downstairs you still have the basketball courts and everything. I remember how I wasn't so into basketball, but there were many chevra here that were big basketball players. It was a lot of fun, a lot of good times. But together with that, we learned. And that's my final message to you today. That you're young, you're fresh, you remember, learn. Learn a lot. Learn, just keep on learning. And ask your Rebbes to help you. And as you learn, yes, do your sports, enjoy things that are kosher and good, and I'm sure your Rebbes talk to you about that. And then you can have kind of the best of both worlds. You could be a Talmud Chacham and a good athletic sport. The Rashag wanted and made it possible. We had English, I don't know how it's today, but we had English with teachers and diplomas and graduations. And it was all in this building. Ocean Parkway was the yeshiva. You know, before ULY became ULY, this yeshiva, we were the kings. Serious. All the best Bacharim were learned here.
Still are. The best Bacharim are still here.
Thank you, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to indicate otherwise. The head shluchim, not only head, many shluchim who are my age and older, we all learned in Ocean Parkway. I can give you names, but I understand there's some Bukits here. Rabbi Bukit al was our Rosh Hashiva. His sons were my friends. And guess what? We played ball together as well. You know? It's great times. And now that we're living in a time where Mashiach is about to come, it's even greater. It's really greater. Why? Because the energy of Mashiach helps every single one of you in your studies, in your life, and in everything. And sometimes when a curveball is thrown to us, you know what a curveball starts going like this? A curve, right? Sometimes things, that's why you have a Menahel, Rabbi Dechter, and you have the Rebbes. Talk to them and open up, and they'll help you. May Hashem help that the neshama that the neshama of Reb Shmarayo ben Reb Menachem Mendel Gurari should have an aliyah. It's 25 years, right? 1989 to 2024. Is it 25? 35, sorry. Getting old, huh? Well, I didn't do well in math. The truth is I didn't. Yeah. May the Shama have an aliyah. Mashiach should come already. Begoli, we should see Mashiach. He and everyone else and all the tzaddikim will be back and we'll celebrate in Yerushalayim Kodesh. Amen v'amen.